And we are live with Sean Fawcett, the Foz. Everybody's like, who the fuck is Fozzy? And it's this guy right here.
How's it going,
This is the guy
guys?
I've been talking about. Yeah.
I've been very fortunate lately.
You know
Very
what?
fortunate.
On the way here, somebody messaged me that he was talking to you already and that you were a big help. It's I don't know where you came, where you were until I met you. You know what I mean? But
I was working for other people.
okay, so let's start there. How long you been working on your own now?
Since September, so just a couple months. But I've been working on my own, doing like side work for I don't know, but 2 years now, right?
Cullen texted me on the way here. Cullen Sellinger. Oh no, no. Sorry, I was talking to him about Phil. Anyways, keep talking. Keep
Okay.
talking.
Yeah, I've been doing like side work on my own for like 2 years, and then it just got to the point where it was like, well, we were talking about it earlier today, like, your weekends get chewed up, and something that should take you a week is now taking you like a month because you can only work on it on weekends. So yeah, just I don't know. And then moving out here to Guelph, it was more of a commute, and I was for the most part happy where I was working, but I always missed renovations. And then yeah, like I do a lot of drywall work, so that's like a lot of people just call me for it. It's funny, right? No one
Yeah,
wants to do drywall. And yeah, so one
definitely no one
thing,
wants to tape.
yeah, well, sanding. A lot of people don't want to sand,
That's
right?
true.
And yeah, one thing led to the another. Like there was actually a weekend that we my girlfriend Sarah and I went away. She's like, well, if you're not going to be working for, like, what are you going to do next? And I was like, I don't know. But I kind of chalked it up to be that if I went and worked for another renovations company, and then to get the hourly wage that I wanted,
Hmm.
I would be pretty much in a situation where it's like, okay, you're doing all the work.
Yeah.
Like, and I would assume full responsibility for the work that's being
Yeah,
done.
just for a
And
third of the price. And
yeah,
yeah,
and
and
I
it's
was kind of like, hold on, because it actually stimulated to the point where we're in the conversation where it was like, well, I might want to go work for another renovations company just to
yeah,
get my hands back on tiling or something, tweaking
totally
it and just getting a little bit better. But then like the end result would be me going on my own.
right.
So I was like, well, you know what? If I'm doing all the work and going to be expected to do all the work, I might as well just get the work
Yeah,
myself and do it, right?
do it.
So, and the way I have posted and put myself out there, like I always said to Sarah, I find it like I would be very interested to see. I'm not in that situation right now, but if I was, where it was just like I made one simple post where it was like I was available, I wonder how many people would actually approach me because they just know and they know of work, but they've seen my work through social media
Yeah.
that they know I'm good at it, right? So
So the way I look at, are you on Facebook?
yeah,
Mhm. The way I look at social media is your Instagram is your resume,
yeah.
right? And your Facebook is your communication tool with a customer. Because your customers aren't on Instagram.
No, it's very true.
Not the ones with a lot of money, anyways.
Yeah.
Some of them are. But I mean, if you're looking for like somebody that's got a decent budget, that has a regular job and all that other kind of shit, there's a good chance they're on Facebook. You get your thing going, and then hop on Marketplace under that profile, and you would be shocked.
Hmm.
You would be shocked. It's by the end of the first year that we were out, we were turning down 15 jobs a week through Facebook. Well, I think we're on Kijiji, but nothing was coming from Kijiji. Like
Yeah.
you would get taping, like big taping jobs. People would hop on Kijiji, but those were like builders that were going to undercut you big time.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say, like, even buying tools off Kijiji, I'm like,
yeah,
ooh,
dude, work
I'm
off
not sure.
Kijiji.
Yeah, definitely not sure.
So that one place, it was a full house. Like when I went and looked at it, he had torn out the middle floor, and then he had showed me the upstairs what his plans were. Like it was going to be a gravy job. He was 2 months late framing it. And then he brought boarders in for 60 cents an hour or something, and they were like 18 and just fucked this house. So I told him, listen, you're going to have to do the 90 work or you're going to have to pay me a daily rate to do the 90 work. And so he'll do it.
Mhm.
And every time I come back, it's worse than the day before. I do a little bit more work where I can, but nothing's ready.
Yeah.
And I got a week into doing that, and I was like, okay, the upstairs is almost done, and like we're fucking done here. I think I had taken my second draw, but I had been doubled the timeline that I had allotted for it, and I was just like, you keep that third part, but I'm out.
Yeah.
And like that typically is what happens off of Facebook, where somebody who says that they're a contractor, that they know what they're going to do, or it's people have you come in and all of this is the finite amount that they have, and nobody's going to tell you that. They're going to have you finish the job, and then they're going to tell you that. Yeah, I don't know. Facebook's good though. We got lots of neat things off of Facebook, full basements, full bathrooms,
Mhm.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I find with me with Facebook, it's like just like as you said, a connection to homeowners.
Yeah.
Where yeah, Instagram I feel like is my portfolio, but I do post like a lot of my work on Facebook too, so that those like I feel like it's a older generation,
For sure.
between like 50 years and older
Mhm.
are on Facebook. Like it's easier to navigate, and I'm not saying every person that age is just on
Right.
Facebook,
I know what
but
I mean.
yeah, just the average homeowner that is looking to get work done, and is I find I'm dealing with that age bracket a lot, and they're on Facebook. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is a good little network tool to post on there, I find. And it does get me work, but I'm curious to see one day if I post like, hey, I'm available, is anyone looking for work to get done? And then I might not get any responses that day, but I would just be curious to see,
Instagram.
yeah, or even on Facebook too, right? Like I've always, and then, so yeah, I mean, with work, I'm just in between jobs right now, and we were just going over quoting too, which was it's something we should talk about. I think it's good always to get a second opinion,
Yeah.
and it's something that's new to me. This is all really new to me. Like quoting is new to me. The work isn't so much new to me.
Mhm.
It's just running the business is new to me, right? Like, and people, talk about it. And as a worker, you're like, oh, how hard can it be? And then you get going in it and you're like, yeah, I should have, respected a little bit more. And, right. I mean, I've always been a respectful employee, but
Mhm.
yeah, there's times where in my head, I'm just like, what are you doing right now if you're not here? But yeah, now I see it, right? Trying to juggle like hours on the job and then
Yeah.
quoting, right? Like even yesterday or the other day, like I quoted 2 jobs, but that was like almost 4 to 5 hours just quoting those jobs, talking with the homeowners and
Mhm.
between 2 different locations, right? And in the drive time and everything. So like to do that after work, like yeah, like it's like longer nights, or you eat a whole day doing it, and that's where my boss was sometimes, right? But yeah, it's all learning experience, man, and it's a fun journey, right? That's the way I look at it every day, and it's going to make me into more of a man, and build character, and yeah, I mean, I hope like, I mean, we're on a podcast. One of my favorite podcasts are Essential Craftsman,
Okay.
and I mean, I can listen to that guy for hours,
Okay.
but I hope that one day I am like him, and just get to sit back and reflect on the journey and what made him him, like, and he did, like, he has such a cool like but anyways, he has an awesome podcast. But if I'm when I'm
And who was
old,
that again? Just shout him out.
oh, Essential Craftsman.
Yeah. Okay.
His YouTube videos, him and his son do it. But anyways, if I could have his characteristic,
Yeah.
his outlook, his like just his journey, like
Yeah.
I mean, no journey's the same, but like if I
The
could,
ending is in some
yeah, just
cases.
if I could take a look back and have all those accomplishments, and
Yeah.
then and just be like, just the way he talks about it too, right? Like it's cool. You would have to see it, right?
Yeah.
Listen to anyone that's out there. You want to listen to a very experienced gentleman. His name's and well spoken, Essential Craftsman.
I think one of my funnest experiences on this podcast so far was when I had Brittany from Girls Can Frame.
Yeah.
And she's a small business owner, she's a woman in the trade, she's, all these things that I had kind of lined up to talk about. And what she was doing at the time was what I was the most fun I ever had working. So it was kind of like that reflection of times past, and you were just talking to her like as if you did it yesterday, and it was such a great conversation. And just like remembering those days of like the sun fucking beaming down, you got, you're just in a tank top kicking ass all day outside. It was like, I imagine at 70, you're just going to be able to do nothing but that.
Yeah.
If that's what this guy's podcast like, I totally could be into it.
Yeah, well, yeah, because his YouTube videos, actually, he's like a Larry Hahn.
Okay.
He used to frame, but he brags about how he framed with like a hatchet and like,
Really?
yeah, he was like a roof slayer, like Larry Hahn type guy.
Yeah.
And then he went into blacksmithing too, but he's a general contractor. And one thing, when I was watching some of his like YouTube videos on like starting up a business, right? And one, I guess where I was really going with that whole talk was that he said there's two types of contractors out there. Okay. There's one that is just in it for the money.
Sure.
Okay. They're just in it for the money, the quick. He goes, but with me, I was in it for the relationship with the clients and also the project I was on.
Right.
Don't quote me on this. It's not his exact words, but it's summed up. But anyways, he was saying like the relationships that he has built with his clients over the time and the projects that he got to be a part of were not just your in and out taping a house or like basic, like he was into some very intricate historic rebuilds and renovations and stuff that like, and then he built some crazy connections along the way just through his journey. And that's where I was going with it, where he looks back and he's like, I do not regret a thing. Like, yeah, sure, I could have made a little bit more money on this job and this job, but the satisfaction I got, the whole experience. So that's where I was going with it, where I hope when I look back at doing this, it's not a regret, and then also like it doesn't fail because it's still early, it's still new.
You're so young to be.
But I don't ever think that way. I'm so stubborn. I don't ever think that way, where I just like
makes you though. That's what makes you.
Yeah, I have it in my head that this either I'll have employees working for me or I'll be myself, but there's no way in hell I'll let this fall apart. Like, but anyways, I just hope I get to look back on it and go, yeah, whatever. I didn't make as much money on that job, but that was a really cool job. And it was fun. I had fun, or whatever. And and then my portfolio, it reflects on that. Right. So I don't know. That's the outlook, right?
There's nothing about your page that doesn't say you're not having fun. Like,
yeah. I mean, you got a real kick out of that balancing beam act.
You're dancing like the fucking toad off of the Looney Tunes on a 2x8. And I'm like, you smart ass. Because if I did that, it would go snap.
Yeah.
That was, I think, what the post was about.
Yeah. Well,
and I was just like, oh, I love this guy. So I think that's when I followed you.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I just started watching the stories and I was just like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah. Well, that was also fun because the homeowners that I was taping that basement for were away for a couple of
best job.
So I had the base, like I could record myself, say what I wanted to, be goofy, and I didn't have to worry about a second pair of ears overhearing it. So yeah, there's that sense of freedom that comes when you are in a space like that. And, like if there's no one on site, you are talking to yourself and you're a certain way. But if there's someone on site that you don't know, like you kind of straighten up a bit. Some people do, some people don't, but you just that, especially with the homeowner, right? Like I wouldn't carry on so much as goofy in front of. I do. It slips out, but not to the point where I'm but I mean, he follows me on Facebook and Instagram, so every time I posted something, I was like, he's going to see this, right? Like, and I'm like, I'm just having fun, man. I'm here by myself. I got no one to talk to. I'm blasting music as loud as I can, and some of those nights I was working till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So I was trying to do everything to just keep me entertained, motivated, focused to fight through, and sometimes just having fun and goofy. I mean, that's honestly, man, that is what I miss the most about working on a crew. The fact that I'm by myself. I mean, now I'm trying to do it through Instagram, so when I if I am feeling goofy or funny, like I'll try and catch it
Yeah.
so I can share it.
Yeah.
And if I get laughing facing face emojis, I'm happy. I mean, but there was nothing better than being on site and there's like 4 or 5 guys that
You just fuck around with them.
yeah, or you just blur something out, like, you know, or you just say something like this one funny you know, that old lady on Instagram that can't, she's like European and she's like, give me the phone number for the pumpkin pie.
No, what?
Oh man, you haven't
Okay,
seen that?
anyways, yeah.
So, anyways, in that parody, she's like, "Of course not. Pancake is pancake. Give me the phone number for the pumpkin pie." And then, anyways, my one guy on site fucked something up, and I'm like, "Oh, pancake is not pancake," and you know, shit like that, right? Like, you know, just stupid
Relevant
stuff,
jokes.
right?
Yeah, I
But
love it.
that's what I miss, man. And then getting like just the belly laugh out of them.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I've reflected quite a bit this year on like teaching, but I think you just hit it on the head. It's not the teaching that I miss, it's the like fucking around while you're teaching.
Yeah.
Which when you're doing a good job makes it easier to learn, right?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So yeah, I do miss that too, man.
Yeah. Well, like to go back what you were saying with what you were talking, what that great conversation, you know, that you had about how you were reminiscing about like the beating in the sun and the
Yep.
work that you did too. I mean, that's really what I miss and like reminisce on all the time. Even back to my golf course days. Like I have buddies that I worked with at the golf. I'm like, you remember when we did that? And it's just always like, or you still laugh at it because it was still so funny, but you had to be there. There's also that aspect where sometimes you had to be there to.
People must be so lost when I'm around my best friend because he's like, I've known him for 33 years, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like we just have like hundreds of those memories that you're talking about. But if you weren't there, you're like, what the fuck is so funny about that?
Yeah.
We're like laying on the ground laughing. That like the birth of Brawley's Zach Construction was doing exactly what you were talking about, having no homeowner around. We were in Sudbury, out of town. And had a whole a whole booster juice to myself.
Wow.
I was framing, boarding, taping. Like I took on the majority of it because it was supposed to be reflected in a bonus. But yeah, there wasn't even anybody in the stores next door while I was there at night. So I'm like fucking super eccentric and like you're being loud as fuck and like it's just yeah, I know exactly what you mean when you say that, where you get to like be a character almost.
Or you can be like you had the choice. Like I even had the choice in that basement to not record once while they weren't there and just work. I mean, yeah, you have that choice, but to have that extra freedom, like to just know that you can be like, just blur something out and not have the homeowner be like, what the hell what is going on down there?
Yeah. When I write, when I text anyways to somebody with a few A's in it, they know exactly what pitch my voice is at because I'm saying it. You're like, anyways. And it's just like, that's the kind of stuff that you miss with written word, as opposed to like it being on Instagram. Like when it was all posts, I really didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Pictures, like that was what was so attractive about Instagram, is it was like fun.
Yeah.
Like everyone is here having fun. Well, that really came out in Vegas. Like Cam is like,
well, yeah. How was Vegas, by the way, man?
it was so cool.
Yeah. What was your favorite part about Vegas?
Okay. Favorite moment?
Favorite moment?
Okay,
yeah, since we're talking about moments, like
favorite moment in Vegas. Show's over first day. We do a podcast. We come downstairs, we meet up with the guys, and now we're having a couple of beers in the Paris hotel. I think 3 beers is $70. Like it's
totally,
this is gonna be a rough night, right? And Aaron's kind of looking around and I'm kind of looking around like, this is Vegas, dude, right? And he's like, you know, do you guys want to go down to the old Vegas, like Fremont Street? And I don't remember exactly what I said, but I think I was like, I'll be your huckleberry or something, like, you know what I mean? Like it was, and we kind of all huddled, and that's what we went and did. And they drop you off on like a fucking side street and you can kind of hear some stuff. And then you walk through, and old Vegas has a dome of a fucking TV screen above it now. And as we're walking up and I can start to see that, this lady's on stage singing that, don't you want somebody to love?
Yeah.
And that to me triggers this like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas moment. And then you walk out and like there are some crazy fucking people when you go down there too. Like there are a lot of regular people, but you get that like
illusion.
downtown Hamilton a little bit. And I turned and looked at Nick and I was like, I feel right at home here. I think that was my favorite moment was like walking into that Fremont Street of just like we got to do me while we were down there.
Yeah.
Right. I was just there to like I said, you know, it's your barbecue kind of thing. I'm just here the whole time. And that Fremont Street, I was just so at home, like so, and we all got along so well.
Nice.
I keep saying Scott's last name wrong. It's not Montgomery. It's like anyways, the guy Scott that was there with us is a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was chasing us around all night and like running 10 feet in one direction to take these like candid pictures all night.
Oh, no way.
So like we had like a not quite a paparazzi, but like a professional photographer taking pictures all night.
No way.
And it was like I could see where he was or where he was going. And like about halfway through the night, my brain clicked with his of like he was running down the stairs to get down first. And Cam and I were here. And I was like, you know, what's he in a rush for? And then it clicked that he's going down there to get a picture. And then for the whole rest of the night, like when he kind of like, when you saw him do this, I just had that mental image of like, what's everything going on right now? I'm like, this is a great picture. So like, he's going to have like probably 100 different moments that I like. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see.
It's almost like wedding photos.
Well, yeah, right. If you've done that before, where like somebody's just like candidly found a bunch of these pictures, and when we talked to him about it, he was like, I think he said he had 6,000 pictures from the Dallas show. He hasn't gone through yet.
Holy.
So we're never gonna see these pictures
in a year's time. Next build show.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what was since we were talking about like funny moments, and what was there any like really funny like knee dropping moments
at this? Like we're at dim sum. This like awesome handmade I had never had dim sum before, and
no, don't even know what that is.
It's like little pouches of stuffed chicken, beef, whatever, and then they just close it up.
Okay,
they're delicious. And
isn't there a Disney movie about that?
Yeah, literally, like the short. It's the same thing. And so the one you put on a spoon and then you poke it, and like the soup falls out of it, and you drink the soup, and then you eat the dumpling. Like it was crazy, things I'd never done before. And then so Nick looks at one of us, I don't remember who he said it to, and he was like, Fresco Harmony, your mother-in-law. And we, oh yeah. And then he got this response from the table from that, and then that was the thing now, right? And it was like he had a couple fucking awesome, like 3 or 4 of those singers from the All Fresco Harmony year, whatever.
That is hilarious.
Oh my God, we laughed so hard.
Speaking of Fresco Harmony, we're doing Fresco Harmony right now.
Yeah, we did live today. I don't know when this is going to come out, buddy. That's the I've
no rush, but again, we get to reflect back on it. And when people are listening, they may, if you know how it turns out, if there's photos, if there's evidence.
If
there's evidence.
It can't be that bad.
No, but the reason why we are doing it is this on the backsplash at my house. It's a test run. Just to see the sealer and how that holds up against a water traffic area.
So is your idea with this, can you fresco a shower? Is that
no just backsplashes?
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't do any. I wouldn't submit it to any more water traffic than the spray that you're going to get from washing the dishes. But because it's colored drywall compound, we know that water, once that's hardened, water mixed with that, so the sealer is, but I think in the long run, I mean, material wise, this is cheaper than tiling a backsplash. And even the labor, right? Like we'll probably have like 2 hours, 3 hours, if that, wrapped up into it, if that, not even. And we're even tiling it, right? You make it, you know, really good, efficient tilers, you know, they would have it done in an hour or so. But then the material, right? You just bought 1 box of mud, which is, you know, $30 opposed to.
And I mean, you would have done. Now I'm pointing like an idiot on a podcast, but you would have done your
because we're here at my
exactly. You would have done your backsplash. You probably would have done this. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
would have,
Well, I would have wrapped it around where the microwave is. Now I'm
yeah,
pointing, but yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you idiot. But you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you were gonna get one box of Fresco, you're gonna use it. Like,
Yeah.
I'll fucking do something else in the house then or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's, oh, I see what you're going. I thought you meant with the tiling, but
No,
I
no,
see
no,
what
no.
you're going now.
But
Yeah, because
that's what I mean.
we'll
So,
have so much left over that even still, yeah, right.
because all this downtime that we've had to have a podcast and go through your quote and like do all that kind of stuff, you could have been frescoing that this whole time.
Yeah.
And then by the time that that's dry, you could have come back and now you're hitting everything with your second coat.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
So you're kind of done in 8 hours.
well, and then even that though, like if I was to get like, because we were saying on the live how many color swatches Nick has.
Oh, it's yeah. I
So
think he said he's gonna
if
find
I got like,
this.
yeah, but if I got like 3 or 4 different colors, we
Yes.
left that sitting for what, a month now since we've done that event.
Easily.
So I, and I have faith that it would probably last even longer. And
He says it'll go to mold if you leave it too long, but a guy
Yeah.
that's been doing it for 18 years, I feel like too long is very different between
Yeah.
us and him. Like
because I was about to say that if you had pre-mixed and then like, you know what I mean? Like you had like 3 or 4 colors.
yeah,
And then, yeah, obviously,
I'm already there.
yeah,
I've
but
got
like,
the black, the red, the gray.
yeah,
Oh, and Nathan took the green, but that's what I mean. Like I haven't even bought any yet.
yeah. And, but what I'm saying though is like, you could get like 4 or 5 jobs out of one bucket.
Exactly.
If you're doing but they would depend on how many they're spread out, how long they're spread out, I guess. I didn't realize that it goes moldy. I didn't realize that.
I bet you it would be like,
but yeah.
fucking 8 months or something. I bet.
Yeah.
That looked like
even if you had intentions, what if you mixed it up every like 2-3 weeks? Like you just know, like it's like watering plants. You go buy it, mix it up. Would that prevent the mold?
Yeah. Yeah, because the oxygen's probably what does it.
Or just it's sitting stagnant and then the water rising.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the water pulls out and then it.
Well,
who knows? That's a science question. That's a.
Like, I mean, when you get to the point where you've got 5 or 6 buckets of this lying around, you know that you've got for sure a backsplash just sitting here. So you're not even buying material for that, something that small.
Yeah.
Or like an accent wall like this. Like if I had built this, I would have done this, that little punch in. So he's got like a weird punch in and then a second punch in wall here.
From the builder. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not his fault. He's like, I want to be very clear that
that was not my idea.
But I don't know, what would you say that is? Like 8 by 8? Not even
like 5 by 8 or whatever. So 5 by 7.
If you squish that and make it a little taller, that's what at the end of my hallway was, and it was a hawk and a half of mud.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be dope. Like I'm gonna do that again with a black swirl, but I bet you again it might be half a hawk of mud because it's such a tight skim.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it goes a long way.
Yeah, I think you would end up with,
or I guess if you just
room is what's
Nick. We just talk to Nick and say, hey, listen, like I'm going to realistically use like a trough, like like a little pan full of mud.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use like the little mixer. Like, can you just give me a little packet?
No, he's not gonna do that. He wants to buy a whole bottle. And I mean,
but you know what I mean, though. Like, if there was some way of rationing it so that you're not committed to mixing up the whole bucket for a backsplash. But then I'm just thinking of a lucrative way to use this product where it would save on material with tile. It would give you the stone rock look finish, which is what I'm trying to achieve, and then you would. Then you seal it and it has its water. I'm hoping it has some strength to water. If not, I'll just clear spray paint it.
Yeah.
Right. Because I can't see that harming it. I would just tape everything off, clear spray paint it.
Yeah.
Well, that would give it, I imagine, clear spray paint. I mean, framers Ontario Framer doesn't agree with it, but Awesome Framers does. Yeah. Spraying your chalk lines, right? Like,
I had a spray. I never thought that that's what it was though. The guy came around and gave it to me the one time. I had a Tajima chalk line.
Yeah,
I didn't have anything in it yet.
Yeah,
and he came over and gave me this black chalk if I could ever find it again.
Oh, are you talking about ink line? Maybe
I don't know what it was. But it was like you snapped those lines and you sprayed your intersections, and it could like monsoon outside, and those intersections were just as clear as they were the day you put them there. The lines took a little bit of abuse, but like what that meant was you could lay out a whole floor of a building, come back to the beginning, and then start putting your track down, right? So you didn't have to like drag every fucking tool you own into every single room. Like it was cool. Yeah, I think with the fresco, man, what's a box of mud? $25. A color pack's $20. Like you're less than $50 into it. I don't
And
know.
that's still way cheaper than a box, like whatever tile you're putting.
Basic tile, depending on what kind of tile it is.
So that's kind of where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
I mean, because I do see it having really cool effects on fireplaces too.
Well, that's what he's doing right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you showed me that picture. It's wild.
What did he say? $1,200, and yeah, I think he's probably gonna work 6 hours on it. So whatever. That's pretty good.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, like you don't have to sand the stuff, you just seal it and you're done. So the accent walls, that's a big thing too, right? Like, you know, even still like doing the whole like board and batten or like off angled board like designs that you see out of MDF, you still have to nail fill that, you know, and then paint that, caulk it, whatever. And I mean, yeah, you can achieve this look and not have to sand it and not have to paint it. It's a very cool product.
Attractive part, man. It's like not having to fucking sand anymore and not having to paint. But it, like he's saying that the big part of the pitch is giving the shit away for free, right? Like, so this backsplash, right? What's it gonna cost out of that? But like $10,
yeah,
maybe,
yeah,
like all collectively, maybe with the sealer and shit, but still, right?
Yeah.
And so you've got this stuff kicking around already. Well, so when you're walking through job sites, you're taking a look for like that'd be a good fresco, well, like this,
yeah,
right?
exactly,
and then you're like, let me do something for you.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do it for free while I'm here, just because I've got extra time. I've got a little bit of fluff time or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I think that's how you start to sell the fresco, is you just do a fucking free wall. Show them your whatever they're called. What the fuck are they called? Your sample boards.
Oh yes, the sample boards.
They're just sample boards. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, swatches or whatever, right?
The interesting part about it is when you're getting into these ideas of having someone come in front of you rolling it, and then you come behind smoothing. So you can do a floor of a house of color if you wanted, and then you're making fucking real money. Like if you can do, 5,000 board feet and then get fresco on top of it, that's like another $2 to have somebody just throw it on. If you're doing a flat color,
like you're talking like a level 5 finish with it almost.
Basically, yeah. But you would do you bring it up to a level 3, and then you do 2 coats of fresco and seal
like
it.
a skim, a tight skim.
No, but you would do what you did with your backsplash.
Okay.
Oh no, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes, it would be literally
if you're rolling it,
level 5 finish.
like sealing, right? Like when you're removing popcorn.
Sorry, I thought you were asking me how it worked. How does fresco work?
No.
That's not what
No, I'm saying like if you're rolling it and skimming out like a whole
spray it.
Or
spray it.
Yeah, that's different. I've never sprayed mud. I've always seen it, and I'm like, how does that not play havoc on the sprayer? And how does that even work? I get paint because paint atomizes, and it's but mud is a lot thicker.
Yeah.
So like atomizing that,
What do you mean by atomizing?
That's when I'm hoping I'm using the correct.
Oh yeah, I just fucking.
But it's when the air mixes with the paint.
Oh, okay.
And that's when you get the spray, and the little droplets
is what makes it even.
That's just the term for it turning into that mist.
Okay.
Atomization, I believe it's called. I could be wrong. I hope I'm not. Let's Google. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Let me check that.
But yeah, I believe it's when the air mixes with the material, like the paint or the mud.
Which would be difficult with mud.
Yeah. So like, how do you get that splatter like that? Because those sprayer tips, from my knowledge, like you can dial in the atomization, right? They have the numbers on them to indicate like, this is how much it in a surface area of it's going to be atomized and sprayed. The droplets and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, maybe I just spend too much time on Instagram, I think.
I love the fact that you do.
Yeah, I spend hours.
Neat, man. This they also put almost like a stucco, like that way of doing it, where you put a sand pack in it in the fresco, and then you put it on, and when you come back with the second coat, it's a finer sand. At least I believe that's what I've heard.
That'd be cool.
But then what you're doing is you're leaving a coarse, and then the next coat is finer, so it's like a smooth texture. And they're doing that fucking all over the place with the sand in it.
Because I haven't done any texture repairs, but I know that I've seen some texture repairs done.
Yeah,
where they add sand to it. and then that gives it that gritty like popcorn look too, right?
Yeah, I'm super interested to now. So I told myself I wasn't going to do any more Fresco Harmony until I was done that thing at Jed's house, and then this was to me the next step. I would do it here, and then I'll go home and do it. I'm getting really excited.
Yeah. Well, I just thought it was a cool thing to do. If I would, first off, when you wanted me to do the podcast, I was like, man, well, that we can go back to how we met, right? When you were when you stumbled across me being goofy out in that basement, and then it's like, it's just funny how the world, Instagram, and how small the world can be, because it's like, oh, you're in Ontario, yeah, so am I. Where? And it's like Cambridge, Guelph, and it's like, oh my god. So we're definitely meeting up at some point, like. We're talking every day. We might as well just freaking meet up at some point, get to know each other, right? So, and then, yeah, I mean, that's when we said you wanted me to do the podcast, I was like, man, we live so close. For like, I hope the audio is good. We got the fan going right now to drive the fresco.
Yeah,
but I just wanted better auto quality than just tuning in on my laptop. So then one thing led to another, and it's like, well, why don't we do the backsplash?
We're gonna Fresco Harmony, your mother-in-law.
Man, you sound like what's his name, Tiger King, when you
oh my god, I'm never gonna do that again. But yeah, that's how quickly it works, right? Like it's and we're way closer to each other than we think, right? It's and I keep having this conversation of whatever it is that makes the people that do what we do what we do is what makes us kind of the same. Because like we just had a fucking group of 10 absolute strangers who all seem to be the same person down in Vegas.
Yeah,
kind of like, some of them are more artistic and some of them are more driven, and like little bits of this and that,
but there is one big
fundamentally
comment.
Fundamentally we're all kind of the same. Like our beliefs are this. It's just so crazy
because passion.
I meet you, same thing.
Yeah,
right? I get the same vibes from you that I get from Cam or Josh or even Aaron, Brad Kennedy. They all resonate the same with me. Or it's just that like, this person's not going to fuck me around. You know what I mean? I guess is the most fundamental way to put it. Actually, that's a perfect place to stop.
What time are we at? Like, how long is
we got? 1 minute and 13 seconds left.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Did you hear me sing on Construction Life podcast?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna show it to you. I had to sing Moana.
Oh my god.
You're welcome.
Well,
and we are back. That was good pizza.
That was late, but good.
40 minutes or something.
Half the price.
I'm out there and I'm looking at the guy and I'm like, obviously this is why he's so late, because every place he goes, he has to call the fucking place to get the discount for the last place that made him late.
Yeah.
He's having a midnight.
I mean, typically I don't do that, but I don't know.
You didn't call to complain. You have fucking pizza.
I remember I had buddies that set timers. Like the minute and I remember it was a pizza thing, right? Where it was like 30 minutes or it's free.
Buddy, pizza like funded our drinking experience in our 20s. We used to get 2 of the most complicated extra large pizzas that you could, and they would fuck one of them up. And then when they did that, they had to bring you your whole order again. So we'd have like 4 extra large pizzas or whatever it was, because we'd ask for like barbecue base on chicken with half green peppers on one side, half hot peppers on the other. You know what I mean?
A quarter, one slice only.
And then if we could have 11 sausage pieces, it was
no more.
It wasn't like that, but
no more, no less. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, and then that would have lasted you the whole week, or you never know how many guys were in the house. Yeah, that's right.
But still, yeah, it was good, man.
Yeah, Pete. Oh, it's been a fun night with the podcast and then pizza and fresco.
That second, I wasn't sure there for a second when it got dark. I was like, oh fuck.
Well, like your side?
Yeah.
I didn't I was off in my world and you were off on.
I should have at least looked at what you were doing.
And no, well, I should. You mixed the black in right away, which I just put the gray on right away, and then I splattered the black in, and then I knew that there was, but it's good though. It's okay because I mean, as it's drying, it's light, and I went
It
around
lightens right.
afterwards with the gray and lightened up your side a bit. But
Yeah,
it looks awesome. It's cool. I mean, my girlfriend Sarah is the one that had
he's
to be
very
happy with
polite
it,
about it.
but she told me no black in it at first.
Yeah,
Like she didn't want it to look like what I did at CSR, and
that was a very like super intricate like.
that was so on the fly though too. Like it was because I asked to borrow your knife and you had black,
Mhm.
and we were doing the sample boards
Yeah,
and there was a little bit of black right at the handle, and as I was smearing it, it went in and it was like,
is that how that all started?
yeah, and it was like, okay, well, yeah, let's just go with it. And I was, okay. And then at that point, because I was going with it and committed with it, I just thought, well, everyone else seems to be doing their solid colors.
Yeah,
I'm just going to keep this going on my wall. And then I just want to see what it's like to mix these colors on a bigger scale. Because
yeah,
obviously, with a 6-inch knife on a 2x2 piece of drywall, it was scaled
yeah.
down. So, but when
Like
you're,
10 times almost.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
when you're doing it on those wall displays with an actual trowel in your hand, it's a totally different,
There's
method.
like a long, smooth movement that you get with the trowel on a wall that you don't get on a sample board. Even here, you kind of don't get that like full swoop.
Yeah, especially, yeah, even behind the kitchen faucet there, right?
Yeah, that's
The
gonna
sink
kind of be
faucet.
what it is. It turned out
Yeah.
great,
No, it's
but
awesome. I love
yeah,
it. And the more I walk by it now, I'm just like, this is cool. Like it's gonna be that thing, and it's good because I have this picture window in my living room that goes into the kitchen.
yeah,
So you can see into the kitchen and you want it something nice there, but even when you're walking by, it's gonna be one of those things now that makes your head snap, at least for me at first.
yeah.
And it'll be exciting, just when I have people over, like even the in-laws, like, like Sarah's
Yeah.
parents, like what their reactions are. So it'll be fun.
It's definitely neat. And then when somebody go, they look at it. I think the first thing that people are going to see when they see mixed colors and it looks very artsy is that it was expensive.
Yeah.
And it's like there's probably a $15 worth of
Yeah.
materials into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I'm excited about with the red wall. Because that sample board that I made was only one coat, so I never got that big like hilliness to it, like the texture to it. But I hit it with the black and the red, and it turned out mint. So I've done it extra textured. Like I'll send you a video of it when I get home. It's like
Yeah.
it's
Built out it.
perfect. It's perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm just gonna hit it with that black and red, kind of like what you did here. But now I know to keep them separate
Yeah.
is to like wipe the whole thing red and then just add black splashes at the
Yeah.
end.
Well, it depends, right? Because it did give it that gray.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? Because like even looking back at the stuff at CSR, like with that sample that we did at CSR,
Hmm.
I found the gray that I chose originally, which was the Hessler port or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, Nick, great. I love the names. They're very creative. I keep on second guessing myself.
Just never remember them ever. Yeah.
Great, it's great, but
That's why Nick names them after people
well,
because nobody will fucking
yeah,
remember what they're called.
yeah,
I'll put your name in it, sir. Then you know.
yeah. But no, I noticed it being really white almost.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of liking like the black mixed with it, made it a darker gray. So I guess that's another thing, right? Like if you on the color palette, on the color wheel, right? I'm sure you could mix some of his colors to make a
Totally.
unique off color. But then it's just, yeah, keeping the consistency, which I mean, that's what Nick stressed the most about when I was doing it at the CSR event. And he's like, this is cool.
Mhm.
And it's been done before,
Yeah.
but the consistency,
Well, and I think that's where a lot of people confuse what Nick has done here, right? He's not invented plastering walls and he's not invented sealing mud onto walls. He's invented a color system that's consistent over 300 colors and he can color match Sherwin-Williams too. That's what Nick's providing. Fresco's a cool product and there's a lot of money to be made from it. But what he's done is it's not that he's coloring mud, it's that he has all of these colors and it's consistent. And
mhm,
he said it himself, you can go get paint and do it yourself. But why?
yeah,
It's $20. You get whatever you want. If you want it custom, it's going to be expensive, but just like anything else you want custom,
yeah.
right?
Well, and it's also the sealer too, right?
That's a big part of it too. Go
So
and figure that out.
yeah, like good luck. Yeah, good luck. As I said, like on this backsplash, if I notice the sealer isn't holding up
Hmm.
against water, which is this is why I wanted to do it in my own house.
Yeah.
I wanted to see if, you know, this can be done in a water traffic area, or just even there is going to be traffic there a little bit along that backsplash. I would just want to see how it holds up in
Totally.
time with that. So I mean, if it does, then I can do it going forward in other places. But
You want to know
I
here
just,
first.
yeah, that sealer is like that's something he's figured out, right? Like, and it does,
Over like 17 years.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is in there, I don't know, but I just thought, okay, worst case scenario, the sealer doesn't work with water. I'll
Yeah.
clear spray
We'll
paint it
do it. Yeah.
just to, you know, just to seal it, and then
I almost feel like you do a second, like if I would get a light on it when you put the sealer on it, so you know that all of it gets sealed.
yeah,
And then I almost wonder if you put a second coat of sealer, would it be better or would it start to get
yeah,
like opaque? You know what I'm saying? Like you've got too much
like
on.
foggy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a low. The one I'm going to be using is the satin, so it's low sheen. So it could, I don't know, right?
Yeah. That's the best part about it for me right now, is it's brand new. Like
Mhm.
I've done the stuff at CSR during the teach out. I've done 2 walls of my house, but they're half done. Right. I wanted to make sure that this was done, and that I didn't have my tools and shit all over the place, that we had everything we needed, kind of thing. And then I'm gonna jump at it. And I'm so excited about it. But
Mhm.
that's the thing that I'm gonna do, is try and push little bits of like how much is too much dark and how much is too much sealer, or like, because what you don't want to do is be at a customer's house and like make that mistake, because
Yeah, that's
there's no coming back
and
from
then
that.
and then that shows like your inexperience with the product,
Yeah.
and you know, it's harder to sell, and
Yeah. Well, and to a certain extent, if you don't have experience with the product, you ought not be doing it in people's houses, right?
yeah.
Like
Well,
that's the other
but
part of
I
it.
mean, that's the thing though, right? Like a lot of people out there don't. Some people might use it in their own house, but
Yeah,
some people may just take the leap of faith and do it on an accent wall. Because,
absolutely.
but hopefully by us demonstrating and showing, like, you know, saying like, listen, you are supposed to leave some texture. It's not like
Yeah,
you're doing a level 5. But we were talking about doing a level
yeah,
5 earlier, and I was like, yeah, that could be cool too. Just to skip the whole sanding and painting
yeah,
process,
right. You
and you
can.
would just have a level 5 finish.
Well, there's two ways that I see doing fresco harmony, is like, stealing the painter's money, which is great, and I'm down for that. But and just doing it flat, like a level 5, like what we were talking about, and doing it artistically.
Mhm.
Um, you know, if you're getting into it to make a shitload of money, obviously you just want to get it on the wall, flatten it, kind of,
Yeah.
and then seal it, and get on to the next house.
Well, I was going to wonder, like, if you were trying to achieve like a level 5, and you had like a few lines, like a few built over lines.
You kind of want a few, I
No,
would
but
think.
I mean, if you wanted it like dead smooth and flat with
Yeah.
this, like, I wonder if you can. Hey Nick, can you sand this out? Can you
Oh,
sand any of
totally.
this?
Sure you can.
Yeah, and
It's just colored
then
mud.
yeah, and then
You can
just
do whatever you want with it. I think the artistic part of the fresco is like that. It's textured.
yeah,
Um, and it does
that's
have that
yeah,
like rock look to it when it's done. Yeah, oh, you totally could. Go
yeah. I
ahead.
mean, like if they wanted it that color, because
Yeah.
it does leave a matte finish before it gets sealed, right? And
Yes.
if they wanted it like that, and then just sand it, and then you didn't even have to seal it if it was on accent wall, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, it would be prone to like chips and dings a little bit more
for
too.
sure.
But I don't know. Just speaking of, there's so many. The awesome thing
That's
about
the
this,
thing.
yeah, there's so many possibilities, like fireplaces, backsplashes now, even.
Dude,
And
anything. So when you walk down that long hallway, I'm looking up and I'm like, it'd be dope if I did like a bright white on the ceiling with like a little bit of white mixed into it, like clouds almost.
yeah,
Like there's
well, he has a blue even too. You could
sure
do
like a lighter
blue,
blue. Yeah, yeah,
and then do like white cloud, like use white to make clouds and streak it like we just did on the backsplash,
exactly.
and give it that cloudy look. I mean, yeah, there's just so many. It's just your creativity with it, and the cool thing about it is like when you're applying it and you're doing it the way he wants you to do it, you're
Mhm.
breaking all the rules of drywall
100%.
already. But yeah, I mean, But where I was going with that too was
Sorry,
that no, it's good because it goes in with it where you're breaking all the rules with it already,
Yes.
so that where the rules apply to where it it just pushes that create that possibility beyond, right? Where I was saying, like, you're breaking the rules, applying it,
Yeah.
then you can break even more rules than traditional, like, drywall finishing, where it starts and stop in the actual application of it, right? So yeah, like fireplaces, no one really, I would have never thought that I'd be using drywall compound with a
As a
sealer
backsplash?
for my backsplash.
Never.
So I'm breaking rules. That's what I'm saying, right? And typically, just it's cool. That's what evolving is, right?
You notice who won the corner cobra?
Nathan,
It was
yes,
Nathan from the
Nathan.
fucking fresco day.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that. I was like, right on. At least it's going into like well-deserved, good hands, and
I'm super happy about it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because there were a couple of like carpenters on there. I don't care who it is.
Mhm.
My cousin, and they weren't going to use it. It would have sucked, but like
yeah,
they're all followers. That's who it is. You want to trinket or whatever. If
yeah.
you're
I
gonna
was
use
I
it.
was happy to see Nathan win.
Me too, man. I really, and he like got really excited when I talked to him, and I'm like, well, let's get together and I'll give it to you instead of shipping it to you. He's like, yeah, maybe we could have like a coffee or a beer. I'm like, maybe you could like come for the podcast. We'll have a bunch of beers. So he was like, great.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, because and give him some three ways too, because
Totally,
he
yeah.
was when I posted the video, he
Pair
was
of Rip
at
It gloves. We're gonna plug Rip It gloves.
and then Rip It gloves. But yeah, I mean, no, because he was asking about the three-way, and I posted a few videos, and I was like, yeah, man, like, where are you? And he was like, oh, I'm in Erin, which is super close to me and
Yeah,
us. And it's like, no way, man. I was like, yeah, you know what? Like, stop by, I have some extras, like, I'll give them to you and you can
yeah.
try it out. Like, you don't need to buy it to try it out.
And I mean, like they've given me some to get like hand. That's how I give them to you.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I know you gave me a bunch, and then when they were here, they gave me another handful.
yeah,
Steve and Royce, and
give them a try.
yeah, and
Have.
I mean, and then I'm just paying it forward, and like Nathan's interested,
Mhm.
so I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll give you a handful. But you know what? If you're meeting up with him, then
Yeah,
you
oh
know,
yeah, I got lots.
yeah,
So I bought 2 big boxes of them back in the day. And
mhm,
so I used a bunch at that house, and I still have half a box left, and I'm giving them away like crazy out of that.
yeah,
The ones in the package, like, I mean, if you're asking someone to make content, right, you can't give them like a fucking Ziploc bag with,
yeah.
you know,
No, it's
but
true. But that's another cool product that is new
I
too.
love
Well,
them, man.
new error to me. It's been out, but
It's been out, and I think I tried it. I think I tried one when I bought those packs, and I just did it so poorly because I didn't understand how to use
Mhm.
it that I was like, you know,
Yeah,
and then when this all got brought up again, and I talked to actually when I did that house, I used a bunch of them and I filmed them all, and I did them wrong again. I coded it all. I thought that paper was creating the corner. I didn't know
gotcha.
that it was paintable,
Yeah,
right? It's ready to go. And I'm fucking in there doing the three-way like I would do it anyways. But it was easier for
yeah.
sure.
No, because it forms
Um,
it for sure.
yeah. And then so when Roy showed me how to do it properly, you're just like, son of a bitch.
Mhm. Yeah, I know.
Oh, you just like touch it here and here and here, and a couple of little
But even
wipes. I think
that's
it was Steve that showed me. I'm not sure Royce has.
even that's still a little
Yeah,
tricky. Like
some
at least for
videos.
my hand, like I when they were here showing me,
Yeah,
and like
that was key.
yeah, I mean, well, the trick of like the putting it at a 90 and then
Yeah,
flattening it, and even
flexing the.
yeah, and like if you're applying the pressure on the ceiling, you would have it at 90 to the ceiling, and then you would flatten it to the ceiling, right?
Yes.
And I just thought he was kind of angling the knife and pushing into the corner.
Mm,
I didn't realize he was creating that like pivot that pushed it in. So even when I first went to go do that, he's like, "No, you're doing it like kind of wrong. Like you're
yeah,
supposed to do 90 in this." Oh, okay. And it felt
it's like
nicer.
a tucking movement
Yeah,
where you're
instead of
tucking it into the corner.
yeah, and the knife rolling the flattening the knife, it like pivots, pushes it
Yeah,
instead of you like kind of jabbing it and pushing it
yeah,
per se, right? So there's like little tricks that he definitely like if I went to go install it first
yeah.
time, even with my 2 cents about like how to do three ways, I would have assumed to coat the whole inside.
That's exactly what I did.
So, I mean, I was thankful that I had dyed mud here when they were here. And that's the the only mud I had. And they brought mud anyways, but I was just like, this is awesome because it's yellow, it's dyed. Now you can clearly see where you're applying the mud on top of the edge. So
I'm a huge fan of the dyed mud.
for touch-ups, right? That's why.
That's how I run all my angles out of the
Oh
angle
yeah.
head. So when you run an angle head, it's like running a box. So it is just planing the mud on. So it's not a whole ton of mud on there. It's just perfect. And then you come back with the bigger one, and then it's just a little bit more perfect, a little bit more, and it skims it. But running that coat, it's very difficult to see where you've hit, especially if it's 9 or 10 feet up.
True.
So I started putting blue in it, like just chalk from my chalk line, like just a little bit, and then you could see everything was coated.
So I got a good story about what you can add now
Yeah, okay, yeah.
that is actually better than chalk.
Is it the Circle brand?
No, it's paint tint.
Paint tint.
Yeah. So so one morning I was doing a basement here in Guelph and I forgot my blue chalk.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I gotta do touch-ups and like what am I went to Home Depot and I'm like, they don't have it, but I'm gonna ask anyways at the paint desk, do you guys have tapers tint? And the lady was like, no, we don't, but I know what you want. And here she literally chugs the water bottle she had and puts it underneath the paint scanner.
Yep.
And she's like, what color do you want? Like green, blue, or yellow? And I was like, yellow.
Yeah.
So that she starts filling the water bottle full of paint tint. And she gives it to me and she's like, try this, let me know. Like my husband's a contractor, he does it all the time. Okay. So I got to site and I was like, wow, this was super awesome. Like right on. Home Depot doesn't really have staff that go above and beyond, and this lady did.
Yeah.
What'd
they charge you for it?
Nothing.
Anyways.
She was like, yeah, I forget what was I buying there that day anyways. I forget what I was buying, but she was just like, yeah, like just you're good. Like what and anytime. And then even now that I talked to my paint rep, he's like, yeah, man, anytime you want a water bottle full of paint, then you let me know. I'll send it with the order.
And
like
what is it? Just like a quarter's worth? Like I would guess that's like
yeah, I mean the water bottle I've had now for like 2 jobs and it's still not done. But the crazy thing was
you're putting quite a bit in the mud.
A couple drops.
No, yeah,
that's like a cap full. Sorry, yeah. So I just put a cap full.
A dose amount? No.
Yeah. A decent amount. No, I put like a cap full or so about in a bucket of mud.
Yeah.
But no, anyway, so I got the paint tint and I got the site and I posted in my stories about using it. And I had a whole bunch of drywallers be like, no, man, don't put paint in your mud. It's when that paint cures, like, think about it, man. Like, you can't sand paint. And I'm like, oh, yeah, shit. Like, when this cures, it's going to.
Yeah, but it's the paint that you can't sand, not the dye.
Correct. But I didn't think of it this far, right?
Okay.
So I'm just like, oh, my God, it's yellow. It's paint. It has the same. It looks like even in the water bottle when you're holding up, it's paint. I'm like, this is paint. There's no way. Paint.
Oh God, everything's fucked.
Yeah, so I hadn't started using it yet, and I just posted about it, and then I started getting, actually Steve built up to a full talk. He messaged me,
best, by the way. If nobody's following him, you have to follow him.
I'm sure people are following him. The amount of followers he has,
best guy ever.
But he is awesome. And anyways, he was good enough to catch it and just put his 2 cents in and say, hey, listen, man, I would just think twice about that. Slow down. It's cool, but you might want to go home and get the black chalk or the blue chalk, right? So that's what I did. And actually, that was my dog's first day on site. So I got home, I picked up the blue chalk and brought him to site. And then I was just doing touch-ups. And halfway through, I had a paint company, Precision. They were the painters at the custom home builder, and they're really good. I trust what they say. And he was like, not true at all, man. Because I actually made a story saying, never mind what I said. This is not going to work. It's going to harden and it's going to dry up weird and I won't be able to sand.
Right.
And then Precision, they were like, no, man, we add paint tint all the time.
Really?
So I was like, okay. And I was like, all right, the only way I'm going to figure this out take some, mix it up, put it on my hawk, do it in the bottom of the closet at the baseboard.
Oh, just see.
Yeah, if it dries and I can't sand it, it's where the baseboard's going. And if it, sands out, then good, I know. And it did, it sanded out. So now I just use that.
Yeah.
Because the advantage to that, I feel, is that sometimes when I put chalk in my mud, it creates it to be gritty.
Yeah, and I always feel like you're not going to cover it up as good if you put too much in.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's that, and then sometimes it doesn't get mixed properly, and it
Yes.
creates these like streaks.
Little chunk streaks.
Yeah, where it's darker. So there's no more of that with the paint tint because it's already a liquid.
Yeah.
So it just, I don't know. I'm just doing it from now on because it mixes better.
Yep.
It's free. I don't have to buy
That's
chalk anymore.
That's a big
So,
fucking
yeah, you can go
push.
to any paint store and just say, hey, listen, and more so if you are regular there. If you if you are a frequent flyer, then they would do it probably, no problem. But I mean, at the Home Depot, I know she said I could come back anytime and just ask for a thing of paint tint, and I'll just bring my own canister or whatever from now on.
Bring
And
a
they
bucket,
can,
bring a fucking
yeah,
5-gallon
yeah,
bucket.
just go grab one of the buckets off the shelf and just say, can you fill this up with paint tint for me, please?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they in this last house I use Circle brand has a it's just like a plaster thing, like it's just like it looks like ketchup and you put it out. It's like blue or red.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's the same thing, you just mix it. But
Yeah.
it's a liquid.
Yeah.
Kind of. Paint
Well,
tint.
yeah, it's
dope.
paint tint, man. So try that in your angle when you were saying, because you're like, yeah, I dye my angles. And and once I get that far running like machined heads and everything like that, I probably will too. But
I'm getting you there.
I mean, K&M, I love Can-Am, and I can see when it's where it's coated and not coated, but I get with those little knives on the mechanical heads, it's totally different, right?
Same with using the boxes, right? Like I feel like when you're skimming with your hand, because I'm not like a trowel user, like or a big long knife user. Like I started taping again with the machines and I like refuse to do it otherwise. I did that month of tomahawks and it was good. It worked out good. But with the boxes, you're making little humps, right? So on your butt joints, you can understand that I'm going to make a hump on either side, and then I'm going to come down and hit it, and then either side of the hump, and that's making right
flat,
and then you skim it again. It's different than when you're doing it with a trowel. It looks like you're just kind of mucking it all on there, and then you're manipulating that hump by yourself.
Yeah,
that to me gives me heartburn. Like I don't want to do that.
yeah. I mean,
it's either way too much or not enough.
I'm still learning with the trowel. I was all knives. I was all knives, and actually, Christy Slade was the one that was like, "Hey, you should be using trowels. You'll be way quicker." Everything, and I'm like, I just don't know how. And then I just tried and tried and tried again. And then, now I have freaking 6 of them. But yeah, I mean, and I forced myself to be comfortable with it in my hand. And then I just thought back to when Steve, my old boss from Avenue Homes, and Denis, the guy that taught him, I just thought back to what they were talking to me about the travel. Because there was like 1 week, it was funny. There was like 1 week that I got half decent with a travel because they made me use it. And they took the time to really like correct me and work with me, just like
critique you.
Yeah. And then by the end of that week they were like, oh, that looks good, and getting excited as they walked by me. I don't even know how much of it was hype, but I mean, just to make me feel good. But sometimes I knew when I was getting a reaction out of them like that, like, and I also felt like I was getting the hang of it, but then it all went away because the next drywall job wasn't for a couple of months after that with Steve, and then whatever, and then I was back on the just the knives. But this time I really forced myself to push myself with the trowel, and now it's funny because now the knife feels awkward and weird in my hand. So I had this sweet game plan that I was only going to use my trowel for my flats. And then any corner bead I would use my knives, because my knives were already starting to get pitted from the corner bead. Just like when I was doing my flats, I would see a streak and I'm like, that's my knife going, and I got to either sharpen it or whatever, get a new one, right? And then I was like, okay, well, if they're already pitted and my trowel's virtually brand new, then I'm just going to use my trowel for my flats, and then
you got kind of deal.
And then the knives will just be for corner bead. but that didn't work because I started after I got so frequent with my trowel in my hand, I went to go use the knives on the corner beat, and I'm like, man, this feels slow.
Yeah.
I'm not liking the way it's coating. And I just ended up rocking and then I'm like, you know what? That's it. Like the trowel is now an extension of me,
Yeah.
which is awesome because I do have a Mickey Mouse tattoo on my bicep here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a Mickey Mouse hand using a trowel. And when I did get it, because I was going to get it doing a knife
Right.
because that's all I use. But I thought to myself, a trowel demonstrates drywall better.
Yeah.
And didn't when I think of like drywall, I think of Denis, the guy that taught me with the trowel. Like
Right.
that's drywall to me is a trowel. And that's how they did it back then, right? There's no knives back then too, like way back when.
Yeah.
Even plastering days, right? So but that I got that. So now I can actually I feel more at peace or more it's more appropriate that now I got a trowel in my hand, and as I was saying, it is like an extension of my arm, myself now. Like I can't see myself using knives anymore, unless if it's like a really awkward area where I need
You
that,
gotta
like
get in somewhere, like
yeah.
in your three ways, you're always gonna use a knife.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
4, 6, 5. Yeah, like those knives are but I'm talking about like anything like an 8 to like 12.
Like what I've got here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll probably just be using a trowel from now on.
That is one of the things, because I asked everyone today, should I get the soft set blade or should I get a pool trowel? And when Nick called, that's what he said, is he's like, you're gonna put way more material on the wall with a trowel
Mm,
than you are with a knife, right? And then that just to me means speed,
yeah.
just like what you're talking about. Yeah, I've been doing that with the tomahawks, where I'll like slap it onto the wall and then I'll come back with the tomahawk, and I think but I think the trowel does both of those things at once.
Yeah.
So
I mean, even on those, like, because when we first met up, you're like, dude, why were you skimming out those seams so much? Because they
they
were
were
double seams.
fucking huge. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
double seams, right? And I
'Cause
applied
your butt joints were like this.
they were the width of my skimming blade, my 2.5 foot skimming blade or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I just applied the mud with the trowel and then skimmed it,
And then
and
come
then
back and
with,
skim.
like the level 5 version of the tomahawk, right?
Have you ever done the paint roller thing yet?
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
that's what I did here in
And
the ceiling.
it worked out dope,
The paint
obviously.
roller, yeah. So the trick with that is, so the first time, where was the first time I did that? The first time I did that is with Steve, my old boss, and we did it in a couple bedrooms. We scraped down the popcorn,
Mm-hmm.
and then we used a roller, and that was like, oh yeah, we've seen this on Instagram, but we're just winging it. And it was like mixing up the mud, and we mixed it up in a bucket, got it a little soupy, and it made a mess. It still makes every time I do it, it makes a mess. But the trick is, like, then I had it done it for I hadn't done it with Steve, but where did I do it again? I was like, oh man, I forget. Like I literally forgot like what the process was. So when I first did it, it was really awkward. And the trick is to keep it a little thicker.
Yeah.
Like you want it soup like mixed down, but you don't want it to be water. Like you don't want it to fall off. You want it to stay on the roller, and then you actually only work in like 2 foot sections, I find.
Okay.
And you kind of hook it, get it blobbed on the one side of the roller,
Yeah.
get that up to the ceiling, make contact, and then it's super light pressure. This is the trick where, like, normally when you're rolling out a wall with paint,
Yeah.
you're applying pressure to get the paint off the roller
Right.
onto the wall. The trick now is to get the mud to stick to the ceiling
Without wringing out the sponge.
and pulling off the roller. So you
Right.
don't want to like apply pressure and smear it. You want it to like you want the mud to like go up against the ceiling, get tacky, like light pressure, roll it so it starts to roll, and then the mud sticks to the ceiling and then pulls off the roller, and then that's how you get like a good consistency,
Right.
right? Because I find when you're just trying to roll it like paint, you're
Yeah.
getting a thinner consistency. You're not getting those like little like mount like you know when you see it rolled on, like it gets all like pulled off like in those like little mountain shapes.
Yep.
Um
And then you come back with
and
a
then
big
you just
skimming
come back
blade.
with the skimmer, right? I mean, when I did it, and then level 5 posted my video,
Nice.
and I caught a bunch of flack. Like some guys were like, "Oh, there's so much mud on there," and that's not how and then and then
You
it's like,
can't listen to the
I mean, it's
Wait.
fine. Everyone has their opinion and like it's like whatever, but like yeah, at the end of it,
Yeah.
like to be honest with you, when I'm rolling it on, I'm getting it really thick.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is like as you're running the skimming blade, you'll see where it hits and then where it doesn't even touch at all. So then I had to get like, the
So if
guy.
it wasn't that, you'd be doing it again.
Yeah, well, I still had to get like areas where to come back and touch it up. We get a little bit more built up with the roller.
Really?
But yeah, like you'll see, like there'll be areas on your ceiling where like it'll skim off real tight, and then there's like on the same pass with the skimming blade, it didn't do anything at all, just because your ceiling's out a little bit, right, or the joist or
Yeah.
whatever, and you don't notice it until you run something flat and straight across it, right? So like when it's on super thin, like you end up skimming it down really thin. Eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so when you're skimming it down, like you end up skimming it down really, really thin,
Yeah.
right?
That's what the flooring guy said today. He was like, I was like, I don't understand why you don't have like a 2 foot. Do you see that video with the chipper, the thing that's tearing the floor up? It's got like
Oh
an
yes,
8 inch
yes, yeah,
blade or
yep,
something on it, maybe a
yep.
10 inch blade. I was like, I
Those are
don't know
cool.
why it's not like fucking 3 feet, right? And he was like, that's exactly why. It's because you'll have different variations in the floor, and if you do it this wide,
Gotcha. Yeah, that
you
makes sense.
skip over a bunch of shit or whatever.
Yeah, and then you're going over the same thing over
Yeah.
double
So with
time.
a 4 foot skimming blade on a pole, you'd probably be better off doing with a 32.
Yeah, oh, 100%. Like I already, yeah, like a 2 foot or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, right? Like, yeah, it's a quicker technique. It definitely blobs hit the ground for sure.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't care.
That's
I mean,
you'll see on
yeah,
my tape.
even one of my old bosses, like he was management at Hummingbird.
Yeah.
We called him Pretty Boy Kyle. I
Right.
called him Pretty Boy Kyle. This guy looked like he was.
I like the honesty there. Well, I did.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it was funny because he wanted help with his popcorn ceilings, and this guy, man, he's got pearly whites and his hair slicked over, like he doesn't miss a day. Doesn't miss a day, this guy, Kyle Kellen. And
Full named him.
yeah, he's well known. He used to, yeah, he's up there. And anyways, he's sitting there mopping it on, and he's dodging
Oh
blobs
yeah,
so it
like the
doesn't hit him
Matrix.
in the face, right? And I'm just like, come on, man! I thought you were on the tools. Let's go. Like,
Yeah.
I can't, and he ended up getting a blob, but like at the end of it, he was like, man, I'm getting really good at this where it's not blobbing. But it's just, I think it's just like you can take your time with the roller to
Mhm.
make it, but put down floor protection and
Yeah, I would just
if
with
you're
the tools.
if you're scraping down, if you're getting rid of popcorn ceiling, there's a mess.
Yeah.
There's a mess.
Yeah.
I don't care. You're sanding it or what. There's a mess if you're getting rid of popcorn ceiling. So just put down floor protection, let the blobs hit the ground. There is some waste rolling it that way, but it is super quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about my butt joints instead of coming back with the 14 and like just touching, like making it flat. You come back on like a 5 and you do it super tight.
Yeah.
I think I want to start doing that. Have like just roll the butt joint and then swipe it with the long knife.
Yeah. Well, I think
Nice and
level
flat.
5 now makes a specific roller
For mud.
for mud. I thought I saw it at CSR. I could be wrong, but when we were there at the Fresco Harmony event.
Yeah, there's not too many things that I think are faster than running a box, but it has to be. You go in a room, you could just like muck out a bunch of, maybe
No,
not as fast.
no, because it's not. Yeah, I mean the box is
Because if
more
you're rolling,
controlled.
you could be hitting the box while you roll.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the box is more controlled, where you're applying the mud, but you're immediately skimming it at the same time, right?
Right.
Where now you're applying the mud, but then having to skim back.
Yeah.
It's two part. It's pretty much like like I guess the best way to put it into context is like compound tube flusher head, right? I apply the mud and then I skim it, and then there's like the mechanical
Yeah, you use
boxes
a throttle box.
a throttle box where you're applying the mud and skimming it at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Or even now Can-Am has that head, the adjustable flow head where you can hook that up to your.
That thing looks pretty dope.
Oh yeah, I have it.
Okay. Really good.
Yeah,
Excited.
I don't I will show you, it's in the basement afterwards, but I thought I was like, maybe I should bring it out for the podcast, but
Man, so I went to the Tape Tech booth. I've just never looked at anyone else's tools. So now I've taken a look and held all the Can-Am stuff. It's nice. And I went over to the Tape Tech booth and they've got like weird stuff, like like adjustable, and like they've got a whole line of flushers, it looks like.
Mhm.
And I just sit there and I'm like, how specific can you get though? Like it, and how much do these things cost? So that's really where that doing it every day comes into play, I think,
Yeah.
where you would get it or you wouldn't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even I was at stands like Tapers United the past week.
Oh, we got 1 minute. We can do
Oh,
another one.
oh, yeah, we can do another one.
Okay, good.
And then,
Keep talking.
and yeah, I was at and there was a few guys that came through.
Okay, we're gonna talk about that later in a minute. We'll be right back. And we are back again.
So yeah, I was saying I was at Tapers United stands and anyways, I got to see Anglehead for the first time in the knives, because like I'm still pretty rookie, and haven't used boxes at all,
Yeah.
and I just thought K&M was the only way, right? But I mean, yeah, it was cool to see a knife, like a actual mechanical head, like with the knife,
Pretty
like just
dope.
the little knives in it, and it's different than K&M setup. So it's cool. It's different.
Now I'll also say the flushes are way more forgiving, right? Where if the walls aren't perfect, it's the angle head almost does you a disservice. Where it's got that, like, you squeezed it, of course. That's what everyone's like, it's like pulling the trigger of the drill.
Hmm.
um you know, it's you've got that much lenience. And if it's out any more than that, you're either digging the wall or you're like way overfilling. Like, it gives you a true crisp corner, kind of, I guess. With a flusher, you can have a beaten to shit wall and still flush it.
Yeah.
And you can kind of correct it a little bit, I guess. Like, you really have to have a good board job to use the mechanical head, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah.
it's I now that I'm flushing with my 2-inch 2.5, um like wiping behind the tape, it starts that kind of shape that it's gonna start making. And then I do the 3 and then the 3.5. A lot of guys just do 2 coats,
Yeah.
but I don't know, I like it. It's so quick. Like, with the jobs that I'm doing anyways, it's like 6,000 board feet. I ran through that house in a couple of hours. Like, took my time, picked all the corners as I went. Like, it's not a big deal when you're doing that. And I put it on the end of a compound tube, and it was brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you were just fighting with it the whole time. Too much pressure, not enough pressure. I think they got it right with that throttle box, where it they had one prior to that that didn't have the assist springs. And it felt like, when I heard guys talking about it in Vegas that have been around for a while, who ran the box before it had it, you were like leaning into it to get the mud out. With the assist springs, it really, like, it just glides along, right?
Nice.
And I think that's kind of perfectly what the angle head's for. When you've got the right pressure on it, it's the right consistency, and then it just wipes with it.
Hmm.
You know, a flusher's, you can have shitty consistency, too much, too less. You know, the wall can be all over the place. So I get where they all have their thing. Can-Am strikes me as one of those companies that it's like perfect for the beginner Joe, that, like, even these Nicor, like, I don't know what those sets are worth.
Yeah. I
uh
mean, the one in the case, I think, is like
that's the one that I'm talking about.
yeah.
You can get anybody on this thing.
Yeah. I mean, I just did a video of my buddy with
Yeah, right, plastic. And it works mint. Like, I so I didn't mean to cut you off.
No worries. No.
Like, we went around the Facebook mentors group, and we asked, get into your shot if you want.
Yeah.
um
And this giveaway is still going on.
It's not gonna be when this releases. It better not be. um you know, like, we were really asking. That's how I got to learn ice rock. Like, that's how I met him, because I was asking questions about these things, because I was like, you know, how long do they last, and what happens when you hit a screw? And there was a lot of positive feedback from people.
Yeah.
Now, if you see what he does with this stuff, it's unbelievable. So that pole that's there, right, the plug, yeah, he's got every instrument that he owns on that, their own.
Hmm.
And then he's got them all in the water. So he needs his nail spotter. Boom. It's right
Yeah.
there. Do I need a longer pole? Boom. And like,
It's
that,
awesome.
that's where I start to see this getting exciting, because I've got 3 poles typically that I'm running all the time. I've got one with a ball on it. And then one that either has the roller or a nail spotter. Like, that's kind of what that is for.
Mhm.
And then I've got a long and a short. Like, that's where the 3 come into play. You would only need one, and for me to
Well,
switch like from a roller to a nail spotter take forever.
yeah, I will say it is like I just bought a second pole.
Yeah.
So when I bought my like compound tube kit, it came with the Nicor heads.
Yeah.
And I had this quick attachment, and I got like 2 pretty much, right?
Nice. Okay.
So in that kit, and I would have it set up where I had one on my gray head here,
Yep.
and then one on my roller, and I could just pop on, like switch back. But the problem with that is like I was ditching it in the bucket,
Yeah.
and then I have to stick my whole hand in the bucket to get it out. And
Yeah, way more trash than you. I'm so okay with doing that.
yeah, I mean, no, it just like just reaching around instead of grabbing something. And,
Yes.
you know, it was more or less like, and then
Efficiency.
as mud started to build up, like, you know, you get excess mud on your roller or your head, and you put that in there. And then, you know, if you're doing a big basement like I was at the time, like mud was building up in the bottom of that bucket, and then now you're pulling out like a bunch of shit, and you got to wipe. Like, some of that might be okay, but some of that might have like hardened stuff in it, right?
Yeah, no, you got to rinse it off.
So I just feel like now I have 2 poles, and like one's going to be the flusher head, and then one's going to be the roller pole, and that's it. And then they're just going to live in buckets still, but at least I can grab it and pull it out quicker. And I don't know, it is a really cool feature, and like especially if once you got a lot of tight spaces and closets, it's awesome to be able just to pop the head off the pole and be able to use it, right?
And I was happy that you did that, like,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean, because it really does kind of alleviate that wonder of like, well, how maneuverable is it
with applying pressure?
Yeah, no, it would look,
because if you watch me doing that too, like that not once does the head come off the wall.
No,
it's I mean, I'm applying pressure into the corner, into the wall, into the corner, but I'm swaying back and forth and up and down with it on the ball, and it's not coming off, which
you're not popping it off in one way or the other.
And I mean, to go back to what we were saying, like how easy it is for people to use. I just had my buddy Dan from high school. I was at his house helping him tape, and he really wanted to learn. And I thought to myself that if he's in the mood to learn and has this like mindset to learn, I said, this is a perfect opportunity for me to get a Nicor in his hands and just see how it goes with someone with no experience.
Yeah.
Because I'm really curious. Like, I have experience. I'm not the most experienced, but I have experience, and I'm okay at taping. But he has no experience.
Yeah, zero.
And even watching him load the corners was painful. Like, and I was like, no offense, Dan, if you make it this far and you're listening, but
we were all, every single one of us was like that.
And even when I actually had to jump in and help him load the corners because I was getting a little impatient.
You are not a patient person. I can see that already.
I can be, but and I was just like, all right. But and I also wanted it in a certain way. But though, if in that video you see where he made his first pass, it took him so long to load the corners, the mud started to harden. So that was a fault. So that I can see being a fault for any homeowner. Like, you got to work on one corner at a, like one wall stretch at a time. And because they're not going to buy a compound tube like a homeowner do-yourselfer. But I think this little Nicor thing is great for like do-it-yourselfer painters.
Well, think of that little piece of shit yellow one from the paint aisle that's supposed to be the corner flusher of home.
Oh yeah, like the plastic knives. Well, but this is made a lot.
You're getting into finishing tools.
Even still, to go with that, the typical metal one that's on a handle. You got no pivot point on that thing.
I've snapped 2 of those right off, and I was like, okay, we're done.
So I mean, this replaces that. Like, some guy that's like, oh yeah, I coat my corners, but this is, you know, like, there's a lot. I find there's a lot of old school guys sometimes that just are just more or less contractors that are like, I'm not buying boxes or machines. I do everything by hand. And I'm kind of like that right now, but I actually want to get into boxes and machines. I just wanted to save up for it. It's expensive, right? But
that's the other thing.
This is cheap. This is cheap. This is super cheap.
And that's That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Like I see Can-Am as like a very friendly beginner company. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Well,
they
their heads
also have
aren't
very
their heads
advanced.
aren't expensive though.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
the
that's what
two
I mean
hundred
by
bucks a head
beginner.
on the metal heads.
Yeah, it's very like it's not intimidating.
Yeah.
If you walk up to a display case of Columbia tools and it's got a Predator in it, it looks like it's like pieces to build a robot, you know?
Yeah.
If you can go in and pick up that set, and then just like you said, well, it takes a long time to fucking put that mud in the corner, but then when this thing it's way faster, and then someone goes, they got a thing for putting the mud in the corner,
Yeah.
and you spend the next whatever 100 200 bucks, whatever it is, and then you start building pieces like that. You can get yourself comfortably getting into taping tools pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well,
right?
that's how I just went about it. I saw
Yeah.
everybody with these compound tubes and flusher heads, and
Yeah.
I thought, why am I coating corners by hand? It's like,
Crazy.
let one set dry. And then I even had that metal, flusher that you get, and I didn't like it because I couldn't, it was hard to keep a consistent angle with that.
Okay.
Right. With this, I just made more sense in my head. I said, okay, well, this is on a pivot point,
Yes.
and I'm going to be able to like find a different sweet spot that will work for me.
Mhm.
But this handle on this V notch metal trowel, there's no play with it. So
No.
it's very similar to taping, or with a trowel or knife, you kind of manipulate to the angle that you're applying it, right? But anyways, I thought of this kit being really awesome, and I just saw everyone using similar things, so I just took the leap of faith and bought the whole kit with the
Yeah.
compound tube, and man, was that ever a game changer.
No
I
shit.
remember messaging my old boss. No, he commented and saw that I had one. He's like, oh, big time now. And I was like, dude,
Yeah.
I don't know how you have been coating corners for so long and taught me how to do it that way when this exists. And sure enough, just because I had the Can-Am one, but a month later, when he had a drywall job, he posts and sends me photos of him getting the Columbia one. Just cause.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but he
This is totally different. I came up with this idea first.
yeah.
I love
Pretty
it.
well, yeah.
I love
But
it.
I mean, he listened to me at least, and then he says he hasn't used it too. Like, but I mean, I don't know how many drywall jobs he's been doing lately, but
I mean, but the kits are like $1,000. They're like $1,200 or whatever they are. If you're ever doing drywall, ever.
yeah. Well, it's a great entry, like
Man.
even before boxes, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad I bought this instead of before boxes, because it just showed me how efficient you can be, like with more like taping tools, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, if I just became this efficient with inside corners instead of doing it by hand, this is how fast it is now with this tool. Okay, what's it going to be like with boxes? And like, I always see all the boxes running on Instagram, and it's like, yeah, that's obviously way quicker than me doing it by hand.
Yeah, but I mean, like I trace my box now. So, the guys that have those crisp lines, they don't trace it again. They run it down the wall one time. I typically go there and back in there. Like you know what I mean? Like I run it until I'm happy with it. I think guys like Brad and Josh, they just run the wall and then they know they're coming back with another code tomorrow. And it's just the experience of doing it. So it gets faster and faster and faster, because like the way that I would run a box, they're probably running it twice as fast because they're not turning around, they're not touching things twice. I kind of feel like from where this is, the next step is you buy yourself an auto taper. If I were to do it all over again, I would have skipped over all the boxing and shit in the beginning, and I would have gone straight for an auto taper, because that eliminates everything all at once. You know what I mean? You don't have to have the tube, you don't have to have the flushers, and it's just so fast. And then for instance, I had a 10-inch box, only a 10-inch box for a while. When I lost that big set, when I left that job, the guy kept it. It was supposed to be a signing bonus for me, and he decided to keep it.
Oh man.
I had a 10-inch box, and I would run it either side like I did, but then I just had a 32-inch tomahawk, and I was making that all work. I think that if I had just went and got a Predator or whoever's auto taper and did that kind of first, your movement is so much faster doing that than you would just kind of skip right over. and then you're making good money at that point, and then you have the money to buy the sets, right? Like having one box, you need both. You need two boxes.
Well, that's why North Star.
Yeah, and they well, and yeah,
Mr. Columbia, but I mean that's why North Star with the
when I started seeing that multi one, that's a game changer.
Yeah, so I got to see that firsthand as well at stands.
Okay.
And that was cool. And then I was like, that's it. My mind's made up. And like, like when I go to buy a box, I'm buying a North Star box, a multi box. It just the way, like, even the guy that was buying it was telling me his journey of boxes, how he bought, I forget what he said some Chinese entry level box.
There's some cheap stuff out there that works.
And and then he said, like, it pretty much came down to like Tape Tech and Columbia, but he felt like North Star was above all. And
Mark does really good work on those boxes.
Yeah, and I found out that they're all like hand inspected by him
and set.
Yeah, and that's wild. And then you can get your engravings on it too. And but then, anyways, this gentleman did have his engravings on it, and he showed me it and like showed me how quick it was to switch the heads, and I thought this is genius, right?
Yeah.
And as much as you said you need two boxes, so that's what they were stating to me. Like, all right, Sean, like when you go to buy your boxes, you could buy two Columbia boxes or Tape Tech boxes or whatever, and you're at more than if you just went with this.
What's the price of how does it work? Like an 810 1012 or
I figured like it was like the two increments that go above or below each other, right?
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
You couldn't. I don't think you could get like an 8 and go to a 14 type thing, or
no. I'm only wondering if it would be like.
It seems like the most common is a 10 to 12.
A 10 12. Yeah. Okay.
That seems to be
that makes sense.
That seemed to be the most common, and I think this guy had a 12 to 14 or something. I don't know.
Because I know that there's two. I just don't know if there's more than that. The only difficult part with North Star is just getting a hold of it.
Yeah,
right?
that's what
it's
that is what Stan was saying. He was like, okay, as a first time buyer, it's great, but you better have backup.
Yeah.
Because if you need a part and he's like, I don't care where you go to get this part. If it's me, CSR, whatever, you could be waiting like 6 weeks.
So it's even parts that are
like, he was saying like sometimes like the blades and like, sometimes like when they get their shipment.
Yeah.
Right. Like that, like everyone gets it. And then if I go and buy 5, because I know they're a hot commodity, and I'm like, oh, I better stock up just in case when I chip a blade. Well, yeah, and even if I ran boxes, knowing that the blade, if I ding a blade or something like that, I want to have something on site that I can replace. And I'm keeping inventory of that too, where I know, like, if I need to go make a stop. But if I go make that stop and they're out, and then I have to wait for the next convenient time to stop by, and right. So, but apparently that is what Stan said to me, where it's like getting parts for it can sometimes, you can get parts. It's just because they are so controlled that it takes
time. Is a good word.
Quality crafted and controlled. It takes time for it to, and I can understand that, and I'm okay with that.
It's the first time this has ever happened. Yeah, and that's kind of the whole thing. Like it in my opinion, I know that North Star works great for Brad because he's like best friends with Mark.
Yeah.
So when he needs something, it's probably in the fucking mail tomorrow.
Yeah, it could
be. And I'm sure that is the right way to do it. He always like strikes me as this like sword maker, that he puts in 10,000th time into everything, make sure everything's perfect. The thing that shocks me about that whole situation is if you're going to hone something so perfectly that it's going to be hard to find, what are people that don't know how to use it doing with it? Like, why is it on the market for people that aren't masters of drywall? Like, because you've got guys out there that are top tier guys, and it sounds like they're having trouble finding your fucking tools. So what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, well, it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, it sounds kind of like that, but if they want it bad enough, I'm sure they.
Well, you find it for sure. Yeah, or you get a hold of him or something. Yeah, I guess
you're that good. I guess, like you're, as you said, like if you're like a Brad Hannon, like for me to get it, I know I'm going to be patient, and I'll deal with Stan at Tapers United.
For sure.
No, and then I'll deal with him and get him to get me the box. And if he tells me I want my engravings on it, I want him
Yeah.
to, I want Mark to engrave
Did
Fozzy.
you know CSR will do that, Stan? Just letting you know.
Yeah. Well,
Make
I
sure
mean,
you
I'm
take
loyal
care of
to
Fozzy.
I'm loyal to Stan because he helped me out with my sander.
I
So
love it.
and
Yeah,
you know what I
got a
like,
Merca in the basement.
you know what I love about Stan, I mean, his store,
Yeah, okay.
is that when I walk in that store, I'm not dealing with the sales rep. I'm dealing with the owner of that store, and
you
he's
go in
sitting
and
there
deal with him.
because he's always sitting in the store, man. He owns the store, but he's only working there.
Yeah,
And
okay.
he's sitting there behind that counter. And I
Yeah.
don't know if you saw that video of me walking in, but that's what it is. If you watch that video of me walking into that store, you deal with him instantly. And I was there for 5 hours, and everyone that walked through that door,
Yeah.
he shook their hand.
Yeah.
He knew them, some of them by name. I was like,
So is it
that is what I want.
shop?
Yeah, man. It's only it's like the size of my living room.
Like a
here.
hole in the
It's like,
wall with a bunch of boxes in the back, and
yeah, he's got like a decent little storage area in the back, but
That's
he
dope.
yeah, his actual like storefront is pretty small.
Yeah.
You know what? Like I just love that. Like I can walk in CSR and
Yeah.
this Brad Kennedy doesn't even know I'm there.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what I
his
mean?
office, yeah.
And then he may see me on the, but
Yeah.
like he does. I walk into Tapers United and Stan's like, Sean, how's it going, man? And right away I'm getting that level of service.
Yeah.
And just I don't know, I love it, and I love supporting.
Yeah, and I that person for me is Eugene. At CSR, and he's always there. He was there today just shooting the shit, and like he turns around and and you've got to get the same feeling where you walk in, they see it, they smile, like how you fucking doing, right? Because they care. And then when you ask him a question, he knows the answer, period, because he's run the tools before. Like he's the guy.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's now if there was another, so this is the other thing is I've never been to any other store. I've only ever been to CSR.
Yeah. I mean, I did want to make it out to Master Builds Materials. I think they're out in Vaughan.
Yeah, okay.
I wanted to make it out. I want to make it out to their store too. They've messaged me on Instagram a few times.
Nice.
We chat, and they seem like even the bucket challenges they were like sharing and reposting. So I like that too. Like I like that about them, where they're involved in the community, right? That way. So
that makes a big difference for me too.
Yeah, right. So like but yeah, I mean there are a few handful of taping stores around other than CSR that you just don't know about. Actually, it's a crazy experience on the weekend.
Yeah.
There's a place here, Guelph Building Supply.
Okay.
And the taper guy?
Oh yeah, like Stefano.
Yeah.
He
posts, he says, yeah, clearance sale on his stories, clearance sale on Marshall trowels. Marshalltown trowels. Post this little bin, okay? And I'm like, it's a little bin full of trowels and it's all clearance.
Yeah.
I'm like, sweet. Where's Guelph Building Supply? I live in Guelph. I'm Googling. I'm like, where is this place? I'm like, I've never seen. Oh, it's way out there. Okay, I'll stop by. On the weekend, we go stop by, right? I walk in and they're like, oh, can we help you? And I was like, yeah, the taper guy posted that he had some, right here. They point to this little bin, right?
Okay.
I'm looking through, I'm like, I'll pass. I think everything good that's been taken so far. I turn around, dude. Nella trowels, level 5 boxes in this little Guelph Building Supply store. And I'm just like, wow.
Well, it's exploding. Right, like FBM carries Columbia, right, and if you know what you want, you can go and you know what I mean. It's that you find your favorite place because of the service that you get. You get the fucking tools on Amazon,
for sure.
You know what I mean, and you might find that they're cheaper somewhere else, but same thing. I deal with Eugene. I trust him, right, and it's the same thing with you and Stan.
Yeah,
where it's just you've built a relationship. That to me is what a salesperson is. Right. And it's not that somebody has sold you something. It's that you've trusted that they know more than you.
Honesty.
And they're honest with
you.
Yeah.
And that's what I really appreciate about Stan. And even Stan's admitted to me, he's like, listen, man, I'm not going to sell you something because I can make a certain percentage on it. I will, if you ask me what the best product is, I will give you the like I will tell you what the best product
Yeah,
is
give you the
on the
review.
review of what the guys tell me type thing too, right? Because Stan's not taping every day, he's not on the tools, but if
He talks to tapers every day
yeah,
though.
and if he's getting tools brought back or complaints, he
Yeah.
knows, and he's not going. And then that just causes a headache. And why would he do that, right? Like, especially if he is the one working there solely.
Yeah.
Think about that too,
They're gonna
right?
come back and see you.
Yeah, he can't just shoo like an employee to go
Yeah.
deal with the angry customer. He's got to deal with it head on. So
Yeah.
there's in that level of that goes into it too, of dealing with the owner strictly.
Yeah, that Eugene will tell you that's a story of like if somebody comes in and they're like, I need an auto taper, he's like, no, you don't. And he walks you over to a compound tube and he's like, are you comfortable with a compound tube? Because it sounds like people are seeing Phil and Brad and all these guys grabbing these $2,500 tools and taping 10,000 board feet effortlessly. Yeah. And then these guys take them there, can't get the mud consistency right, can't do this, can't do that. They come back and this thing ain't worth a shit. And you get that in your face stuff. And yeah, a guy like Stan, he doesn't even have any cannon fodder to throw at that shit.
Yeah.
You just gotta fucking take it.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that's the integrity thing too, where it's like, do you need this? Or where are you at? And like slow down, right?
Yeah.
Go into a gun store looking for a grenade launcher. Everyone's like, everybody, this is a bow and arrow. Let's start here.
Yeah.
But that's that's a service too. It's I'm excited to get somebody that understands fresco harmony a little bit more at CSR. I'm wondering how long that's going to take.
Yeah.
Because when you walk over there, that's in Giuseppe's little place, right? Like he fixes the tools, he cleans the tool, like he's the mad scientist from there. When I went and saw Brad the other day, he walked me around the whole place, and it's like a shipping container with FRP and just rows and rows and rows of little drawers and like boom boom boom. Like when you open this thing up, it was playing Dre. I don't remember what it was playing, but it was like it was a gangster little laboratory,
little setup.
Yeah, but I mean that where that computer is where he goes, so that's where all the fresco harmony is. But and then how much of this shit do you need to be selling to like have a dedicated person on it? Right? So yeah, it's really neat. We circle right back around to it. I'm excited to see what that looks like when it's
I mean
finished.
Yeah, I can't see it right now, but I imagine as it dries though, it's getting lighter. And yeah, maybe I don't even need to do a second coat, because I was going to touch it up tomorrow with just a gray little skim coat.
Yeah,
but we'll see. I mean,
I bet you it does dry up exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah.
When I did that wall, it was like black, and then it ended up being almost like a charcoal.
Yeah.
That's why I know that I want to like pepper some other colors into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this was dope.
Yeah, it's been a fun night, man. Hopefully, I know I get to sleep in tomorrow, but hopefully you get it doesn't screw you over too much.
Well, never. What time is it? It's fucking 10 o'clock. So, I don't get to bed till midnight anyways, and then I'm up and gone.
Yeah,
like I just don't fucking sleep.
Yeah, no, I bug you at late sometimes, and I'm like, man, how's this guy still up when I know he's got to get up so early?
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
We when we were in Vegas, I think we got 4 hours the first night.
Of course. But you know what's crazy though? They're pumping oxygen into all.
Yeah.
So
you could have stayed out another 4 hours, no problem.
Yeah.
I could have walked right back.
And even still, like even on 4 hours of sleep, because you've been inhaling so much pure oxygen, you feel much better the next day too.
Yeah, Aaron did not feel so much better the next day. No. But that's what I was saying to Cam. I'm like, all I get is 6 on a good day anyway. So 4 is fucking Saturday night.
Yeah.
But then I came home from all of that. I went to bed at 8 o'clock on Friday and slept all the way till 12:30 the next day.
Yeah.
Whatever that was, 14 or 16.
It's probably running off some of the hangover too. And
total recharge. Liquid IV is wicked.
Yeah.
By the way,
I wish I knew about that one in my drinking days, but now that I don't drink, I don't need that shit no more.
You don't need it.
Yeah, but no, I mean, it looked like a lot of fun.
It wasn't even, we didn't really even get that. Like, it's not like.
So, okay, let me ask you this. So I've never gone, and I'm thinking about going next year.
Yeah.
So for someone like myself, like what if I buy tickets to do that, What am I getting myself into?
Okay, so so the second day, I got to walk around. So you get a little goodie bag, and then you'll go around. A lot of places don't have brand new shit out right now. Like Columbia doesn't have anything brand new right now.
Yeah.
But a lot of people hadn't seen the Tomahawks before. A lot of people hadn't seen the throttle box before. So you basically get one-on-one time with either an owner or like an expert in whatever company that you're talking about. And it went everywhere from, like, you were seeing those steel studs to everything to do with taping, to a robot that skims and sands, Hilti, their whole line. And then I got talking to a guy that's doing safety training with an Oculus. So your virtual reality, and they're teaching fire spray with it. It's like everything that's like right on the cusp of,
Interesting.
technology.
So what like percentage or how much of that show was drywall?
Like 80%.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what Intex was. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like straight up drywall, taping, framing.
So it's the world of concrete for.
Yeah, which I believe was there when we were there, and they said it's something like 200,000 people go to that.
World of concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was something.
Yeah, man, it's huge. Like all the
whatever. Yeah.
all the like carpenters and everything go to that.
Yeah.
The world of concrete. It looks like a shit show, fun time as well. But I just wondered, because if I had to pick or choose,
yeah,
because I'm only going
to
Vegas.
You, I think Intex would do you not a solid. Like, I mean, if they told you to go.
Yeah.
But like for me, I that's where all my love is, right? Framing, boarding, taping. It's if you're still very much a carpenter.
Yeah.
Like I very much am a carpenter, but I've like made my decision of like, I'll do that when I have to. Boarding and taping is kind of what I enjoy the most.
Yeah.
The build show or whatever they went to the week prior or the 2 weeks prior, like the Tile Chick, everybody went to that. I'd love to go to that kind of a show.
Yeah.
Because that to me, I would get it all, right?
Yeah,
like it's for somebody that only knows boarding and taping, this is amazing.
Yeah, this is heavy.
But like I've done foundations, I've done everything, right? So to kind of see it all, I would really enjoy that.
Yeah. So maybe I'll end up, I really just want to meet Wolfgang, to be honest. Wherever he's at.
Well, keep coming to CSR.
Yeah.
Like
I'm hoping I can get to the CSR, the grand opening.
Yeah.
And then
do you know when that is yet? Does everyone know when that? Okay. I don't know when that is.
I don't know. I would like to know.
I'll tell you when we're done. Yeah, that's the next one. He's coming to it.
Yeah, that's what he did say. He's like, Wolfgang was like, I hope to see you there. I was like, man, I would be honored to shake your hand. And that's really, honestly, when Vegas, like if I went to this past Vegas show, you would have sworn that I was working for Can-Am, because I would have just stayed right there with Steve, Zach, and Wolfgang, and I would have just hung out with them the whole time.
So right beside them was Fresco Harmony, and then 2 booths down from that was us.
Oh, perfect. There we go.
On the other side of the aisle. So we saw all each other the whole time.
I would just be getting you guys coffee and hanging out. What did you need? Water? I'd be your water. I'd be your 3 water boy. That's what I was gonna do. I talked to Nick about it too. I said, just bring an extra shirt, and like I'm gonna bring my Columbia shirt and hang out at that booth for a bit, and I'm gonna bounce around. Like that was my plan until Aaron was like, come with us. Because I just wanted to go. Like but I mean, Black Friday, you have to come to Black Friday, and I think that's probably gonna be as close to, or at least I'm not sure what's going to happen first, if it's going to be the Drywall Olympics or it's going to be Black Friday. But whatever one of those happens first, I imagine it's going to be just as big as what Vegas was in the drywall space. Yeah.
Like, I'll be shocked if all the companies aren't there. Festool will be there for sure. They were at Black Friday. Like those types of things, and it's going to be right next door to us. It's an hour away,
At CSR.
Yeah, but nobody even asked. Not to say that this is going to sound wrong. It's not that nobody asked Wolfgang to come. He knew that there was a Black Friday thing, and he was like, okay, see you there. And Brad was like, okay. And then he started calling around, like, let you know Wolfgang's coming. And I feel like that's what kicked the snowball down the hill. that turned this CSR Black Friday into what it was. Because it snowballed out of control. That was an event.
Yeah,
That was the first event.
I missed that.
Yeah. That triggered all of this.
No way.
Oh, for sure. Because I went there and I felt like there was a community. I went there as like a fly on the wall. I didn't think anybody would know who I was. I just I really wanted to meet Nick because we had just started talking, and it was like, I don't know, it was something about Fresco Harmony, and then by accident now Columbia's involved, and then by accident all four of us are going to be in Toronto at the same time. That's an hour from my house. Like, there was just so many tugging, and it changed the course big time, man. And then here we are, whatever, 4 or 5 months later, and we were all in Vegas together.
Yeah,
it's that snowball is going to continue to roll, I think. And then the drywall Olympics, like, we talked about preliminaries for when it gets bigger.
what events are going to be in these?
We don't know.
You don't know yet?
We don't know.
But like, who can be the quickest to, and
yeah, I mean, I think that we're going to do speed. We're going to do like different gradings of stuff. Like, I'm hoping that I could reach out to Bernie.
Flattest butt joint.
Yeah, exactly. Speed. Who runs an auto taper faster, who's the cleanest three-way, who, whatever. Like, there's gonna have to be things that you can do that'll be finished that day.
Yeah, that's it. Right?
Like flinging mud into a bucket or something. Like,
bullseye. Like, if you set up like a dartboard.
Totally, yeah. And then screwing off sheets.
Oh, I thought of one, because we used to do the framing Olympics at work.
Yeah,
to keep like us in like an icebreaker thing. Yeah. And one of the ones was to hold up 2 warm drive saws.
Okay.
So what if you just did like 2 buckets of mud?
Yeah.
And like, who can do the shoulder
That's
hold?
So funny.
Right? Like, who can do a shoulder hold the longest with 2 buckets of mud? I remember TK Drywall had all these Olympic things.
I think it was Mudman Dan that commented. He's like, we're gonna have to have a drinking cup, do whatever he said, right? And I think I said it to Steve, where I was like, I'm gonna have to make some sort of weightlifting event so I can win one of these fucking things.
There you go.
But then that's exactly what you're talking about, holding the buckets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be cool, man. This is like, it's a brand new baby yesterday that it's happening. Like, this is brand new. But Wolfgang's in, Aaron's in, Brad's in. I'm in. Nick's been very clear. Whatever you need, just let me know.
Nice.
I'm gonna see if we can get Josh flown in. I want to see if we can get Cam flown in and just have an event. All this is the pull of the first trigger.
Yeah.
Is that it's a thing now. It happens. It's gonna happen again next year, and we're gonna do it. And then I think it'd be fun to just travel it around a little bit, And I just, everybody was looking around at Vegas going, what the fuck are we doing here? Why aren't we doing this at home?
No, exactly. Right. That's the thing, right? Like, I mean, it sucks that like the World of
Vegas was great.
Vegas.
We need to be doing
it
at home too.
Yeah, like the World of Concrete and everything like that. Like, it's just funny. I watch how many Canadians travel to that, and I'm like,
and we're all here.
And and like, what about bringing some of these Americans here? Like, Toronto's a pretty, Toronto's
we have been next year.
No, for sure.
I mean, it's starting.
What if Toronto did a World of Concrete and had all those people there, or rotated, and whatever, right? But definitely something like this like helps keep it closer to home for our sake, right?
Yeah.
And then if it did travel around, or other places around, Canada and the States caught on to this, and yeah, I mean, you could make a freaking tour out of it. Literally. Like an and one tour. You remember and one?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, yeah, you can make like an and one tour.
That's about a minute and a half left.
Pretty good, man. I think you.
All right, give me your shout outs here.
Shout outs.
Got any shout outs?
Who can I shout out? Yeah, I mean, shout out to me, myself, and I. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. Shout out to Steve that taught me everything, and yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my route there. I want to thank, and shout out to Can-Am for the giveaway and the great customer service, and shout out to fresco'd Harmony for the big
bringing
topic.
Us together.
Yeah, and shout out to you.
Thank you
for coming out and doing this tonight, and then also having me on the podcast.
Of course. Who's your tool guy?
Tool guy.
Who you get your tools from?
Oh, Bob, or who?
Stan.
Stan, yes, sorry. Yes. Tapers United.
Sabres United. Okay. Shout out to CSR in Columbia. Be humble, treat everyone the same, and do your fucking job.